So let's dive back into the multipolar sort of stuff here because as we can see, there is an increasing tension between Donald Trump and China. And of course, there's an increasing tension between the US and China. It's not just Donald Trump. We know this. A lot of people are very frustrated with how China has taken our jobs, number one. Number two, they're a communist nation and they're going after Christians. Will China go to war with us or the US? I just thought that was funny how the International Business Times worded that title. A bomber was flown in the South China Sea before Donald Trump inauguration. This was posted today, earlier today, flexing its military might less than a week before President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration. China reportedly flew one of its bombers over the Spratly Islands in the hotly contested South China Sea over the weekend. An anonymous U.S. official told Reuters Tuesday. The unnamed official said the flight could be a symbol of strategic force by China, that the most recent flight was the second of the year, with another occurring on January 1st. Both along the campaign trail and since winning the Oval Office 2 months ago, Trump has routinely poked and prodded China over its economic and foreign policies via Twitter, causing a ruckus within the diplomatic community and raising questions over how the president-elect intends to work with the Asian superpower. A week ago, China's state-run media agency blasted Trump's use of Twitter for foreign policy, showing the powerful nation is tired of the billionaire's tactics over social media rather than typical diplomatic back-channeling. So we have China who's getting rather frustrated or whatever with our soon-to-be president. And of course, China is also stepping up its game, and they're heading to the world stage. Of course, they already are on the world stage. They're a superpower, but they're heading to the Davos World Economic Forum. China has been a massive example for how climate change should be operated or should be done. And of course, just recently they have their new climate change police in China. And they are arresting people. I shouldn't say arresting because we don't actually know for a fact. There's no way to know. AP did a report on it that China has let me pull it up real quick. Now, this isn't the exact report that I read. I read one from AP, but this is from The Guardian. Beijing creates an anti-smog police to tackle air polluters. China was named by the UN as the leader of fighting climate change, even though that's their city. This is one of their major cities. Force will patrol streets looking for rules violations, including open-air barbecues, rubbish burning, and dusty roads. Beijing will create an environmental police force aimed at tackling deadly smog, after the Chinese capital spent the first week of 2017 mostly shrouded in a thick haze of pollution. So as we can see, China, the communist China, the communism is the leader or the example for the world on climate change policy. And of course, they're heading to Davos World Economic Forum. We've been covering Davos for quite frequently on the website. Make sure you check that out, christiantruther.com. As China seeks a bigger role on the world stage, where now the U.S. is going into a nationalist policy instead of a globalist policy, China is going to play that globalism policy role now. See how this is beginning to work? It's a multipolar world orders where the alliances are constantly shifting, and we're seeing the shifting in alliances. We've been on speaking terms with China, and of course now you have Trump. He's just tweeting. He's just tweeting, but the Red Dragon, of course, is getting very antsy with what Trump is tweeting, and that's really interesting. But anyways, let's continue in this one. President Xi Jinping of China plans to stride into the snowy high-altitude conclave of the world's financial elite next week, attending the World Economic Forum at Davos, Switzerland, the first time a top Chinese leader will put himself into the mix of political leaders and business executives who view themselves as the masters of the global economy. Huh. I thought the Bilderberg Group was the only one that thought that. No, see, there's more meetings. This is just another one. The Bilderbergers, this organization, and many other think tanks, they all do this publicly, but there's an elite group behind it which controls the strings. His participation was announced by the Chinese Foreign Ministry on Tuesday. It is the latest and in some ways the boldest Chinese attempt to compete with the U.S. dominant position in world economic and strategic institutions. A decades-long campaign that has been carried out everywhere from the conference rooms of Asian central banks to the waters of the South China Sea to the halls of the United Nations in New York. But it is unclear whether Mr. Xi, who rarely ventures beyond platitudes in discussing the strategies of the world's second largest economy, can take advantage of this time to transition when the rest of the world is gauging whether the U.S. is pulling back from global leadership. Mr. Xi may sense an opening during a historic inflection point. He plans to deliver a speech at Davos at a moment when the incoming United States President Donald Trump has suggested that the United States should withdraw from the traditional superpower role it has played since World War II, including its leadership of a global free trade agenda. In recent years, Davos had come to embody that American-led agenda, a gathering at an alpine ski resort of some of the world's most powerful figures in the realms of politics, media, and technology. Discussions each year have been set by Western leaders, not Asian ones. You see, with Obama in power, we've had the rise, we've allowed the rise of Asia, and of course these other countries into the multipolar world where there's multiple superpowers now, not just the US or not just Russia and or China. But as we can see, China is testing the waters to see what it can get away with. Taiwan responds after China sends a carrier to the Taiwan Strait. Hong Kong. Taiwan scrambled F-16 fighter jets and dispatched a frigate to the Taiwan Strait on Wednesday after China sent its sole aircraft carrier into the waterway. Taiwan's official central news agency reported. The transit of the aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, came amid rising tensions between Taiwan and China after President-elect Trump broke decades of protocol by speaking on the phone with Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not. After his election victory, Miss Tsai leads a political party that has traditionally supported Taiwan's formal independence from China. Miss Tsai, who is visiting Central America this week, made 2 calls to officials in Taiwan seeking updates on the Liaoning's transit, the Central News Agency reported, citing Alex Huang, the president's spokesman. China's decision to send the carrier through the waterway that separates it from Taiwan reflects the early foreign policy challenge for Mr. Trump. It's a show of force, and I think it is intended in part to intimidate, and that's worrisome from the U.S. and Taiwan's point of view because we don't know how much more they're going to ratchet up these pressures and tensions, said Bonnie S. Glasser, Senior Advisor for Asia at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. If the Trump administration does see this as a test of U.S. resolve, I suspect they'll push back pretty forcefully. That's what I'm saying. They're testing their waters. They're seeing how far they can get away with, how much they can do. Now, of course, we have, obviously, people are saying, are we going to go to war with China? There's a lot going on. A lot. It's a foundational shift. There's a lot going on. And a lot of people aren't paying attention to it all. Some people are caught up in the quote-unquote swaying of the tide. Let's put it that way. We need to stay centered and obviously watch what's going on because this is very alarming. World War III is on the horizon again. This is yet another report by the International Business Times. Will World War III start in 2017? Predictions for Trump, Russia, Middle Eastern peace, U.S.-Israeli relations. 2016 was a year of great uncertainty, to say the least. The Syrian conflict saw the historic city of Aleppo slip further into peril. The Brexit vote initiated the UK's departure from the European Union, and Donald Trump was selected the next president of the United States, leading many to wonder what comes next for international alliances, diplomacy, and peace. To say the world's leading forces are closer to war than ever in the past decade wouldn't be a far reach, according to a recent report published by the Council on Foreign Relations, in its 9th annual Preventative Priorities Survey. The nonpartisan organization ranked a potential confrontation between the Russian Kremlin and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, as well as the ongoing crisis and unpredictability in North Korea, as two of the top potential conflicts to arise in 2017. A military confrontation between Russia and the international peacekeeping body could possibly throw the entire world into a state of war, triggering World War III, as Russian and U.S. allies across the globe are forced to take sides and provide resources. To those of you who have been paying attention to what I've been saying lately about the multipolar world order, obviously this is exactly that description, this prediction. What they are saying is, in this particular tide-changing time, powers and states and countries around the world are going to have to pick sides. Where is the U.S. going to sit? Whose side are we going to be on? That's what this is about, because we're seeing the constant changing of alliances. And what will define the world war, of course, according to Albert Pike, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam and the political Zionism, State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. And of course, we're seeing that come about all over the globe. The division, the divide. There is a massive divide, and it just keeps growing. And it doesn't look like there's going to be a way to stop it. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think about this. Is China testing the water so they can take over? And of course, we have China seeking to partner more with the globalist elite. Let's put it that way. While the U.S. kind of goes to a nationalist front. We'll see what happens. But anyways, I want to know what you guys think about this. Thank you all for watching this video. God bless and carry on.